until like later. But yeah, we're gonna get to it. Put this here so I can see chat. And let's continue. this, the start of classes ended. The relaxed free day of summer didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the school year routine. Schedules and homework became the new normal. Dick wasn't around nearly as much. With school and after school activities, there weren't many opportunities for him to take a trip out to your neighborhood. Sometimes you hear that he was at a training camp or something like that, but you weren't always sure what he was up to. Kind of lost touch. With the Jimmy kid did disappear after that summer, and no one ever heard from him again. Where he went or what he might be up to was a mystery. More summers came and went like the waves of chores coming in and out. Damn, we don't get to play high school. In your second year of high school, someone new started to visit Sunset Bird, a sunny girl named Terry Brooke. She was a friend Cove made due to them being oceans obsessed. With how often you ended up interacting with her and how openly sociable she was, Terry became part of your friend circle as well. Terry was tight with another girl you had known distantly from school for a long time, Miranda Eckert. You saw more and more of her as time went on, thanks to Terry and Miranda's own outreach. After a while, Miranda developed a real friendship with both you and Cove too. As your home life has also had some developments, changing laws, public perception, countrywide made it possible for your moms to openly wear their wedding rings without question. Though they had a wedding years ago, it was only recently that the union officially recognized everyone and everywhere in the U.S. That was a good day, to say at least. Elizabeth came into her own and stopped being quite as irritable. She no longer worried about perceived childishness as she grew up for real. She didn't even mind being called Lizzie again, although most people used Liz. She eventually graduated high school and moved out to attend college in another state. It was a lot for you to adjust to your old sister being gone. Liz never let you forget her role in your life, though kept in touch. Cove's relationship with his family improved over the years. Kara visited several times after that summer, and things became easier between the two. He was also closer with his dad than ever before. You knew they talked more, and that helped prevent a lot of friction before it could start. And Cove continued to open up to his parents and the rest of the world. He was so bright, he shone. He would willingly join the conversation, make jokes, and put in effort not to use overly blunt phrasing. Cove's interest had shifted from when he was younger. He still enjoyed more studious pursuits, but he also spent just as much time on athletic activities. The two of you, things were the same as they always been. You and Cove were simply people who lived next to each other. You interacted as needed or convenient, no more and no less. At least both of your parents had finally given up trying to make you friends, so that was a positive development. It was strange to look back on it all. The future faded into your present, then it was simply the past. Even the most fundamental parts of your life couldn't last forever. You felt that mostly pointed the day you eventually graduated high school. It was over. You would not be going back there ever. From now on, what came next was your choice. You would be directing your own life. And that's when you are currently, the summer after school had ended, the first summer of true freedom. What used to be a reprieve from the typical was now going to be your first step into adulthood. Thank you. Okay. One fine summer, you took in what you had. Become very special seeing the whole family having a meal together. Oh, look at her! Look at her! She looked, I know, like, they weren't birthed by the moms, but she looks like one of the moms. Your big sis hadn't lived at home full time for a couple of years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. She wanted to make sure she was in town because her brother you had now also graduated high school. Who knew how much rarer these moments would become in the future? You watch as Liz laughed good-heartedly over a comment Mom made. Her Elizabeth-only mindset had only been a phase. Nearly any nickname was welcomed at this point in her life. Strangely, even though she moved away, you lately felt closer to her than you did in a long time. You idly scooped more of your breakfast and chewed absent-mindedly. You can whatever. I don't know what the rest of the words mean. Don't have time to look it up. The meal you had reflected, it included just about everything your mom's made, though you often made your own food nowadays. With Liz around, though, your parents made even more options than usual. Your sister had been vegetarian for a while. They wanted to make sure she had choices too. Oh, gray hair. And she's getting gray hair, wrinkles. I love her curls. I love all their curls, but I love the curls here. Conversation has gone idly without fully taking in on the world until your ears pipped when Ma started talking on a bit of town gossip. So that's so that's how I heard the news. All right. Now stop worrying, lady, and tell us, what is this so-called news? Ma giggled as she cast a look across everyone, satisfied that she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out the Donnells won't be renting at the condo up the street as per Sunset Bird's tradition for the first time what must be nearly 2 decades. A tourist gasp and shock expressions were had all around after the initial shock. Your eyebrows pinched. Mom may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 25 who crossed their path. Your mom continued with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did. They decided not to take big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their home. That's nice. Okay. That's nice for them. Then have a good summer meeting grandparents with no grandkids away from us. Hope they're still okay even though they're mean. They've had a very full life, nothing to sneeze at. And you be nice, Liz. You don't want to end up like them, do you? You and your sister crack smiles at the joke. At least they won't be here to yell at my children anymore. Lonnie. Lonnie. The blunt comment got laughter from all three of you, engrossed with the conversation once more. You continued to chat with your family until the meal was over. Step 3, third time's a charm. What do you mean, third time's a charm? Serve. As it went, the food was eaten and the cleanup had to be done. Liz took the role of washing the dishes, passed them to you for drying and putting away. You had set up cups in front of you that needed to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. You really shot up heights in the last few years. No one had seen it coming. You didn't think about it much. The part of you was never something you could really figure out on your own thoughts. Liz shook you out of your internal musing by starting up an impromptu conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that had been buzzing around her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty imitating. You'd think after the first 2 years I have a handle of things, but no. You shot a glance at her, still placing cups in the proper places. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes. In a year one, my architecture major was basic. Now I feel serious. I have to actually know something. The laugh she gave was apparently airy, but the way she scrubbed at the plates had more force than necessary. I think it's cool. You want to be an architect. Don't be too impressed yet. Wait to see if it actually happens, but thanks. Your older sister's mouth quirked in a small smile. It'll be fine one way or another. Oh, but I'm not trying to scare you away from college. If that's even your plan, what's going on with that anyway? You answered no question as much as you were able and willing to. Liz smile grew more reassuring as you did. You made it through 12 years of full-time education already. You can make your ideas happen, I'm sure. Sometimes it felt hard to believe your public schooling experience was over. In the end, it had been familiar, fulfilling part of your life, but you were ready to move on. Liz picked up on the silence her question ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement to the topic. You're a good girl, Destiny. Do what's best for you, and we'll be here to back it up. Are they like, so she's 18, or we're 18, my character, and Liz is like 21, I think. Thanks, Liz. At that, Liz happily passed the final dish away. She waved a soapy, soaked hand as a farewell and moved on to her next task for cleanup job. You refocused on getting the last piece back, put back where they belong. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. You casually picked up on it up from the table where you placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years old at this point, having been a 16th birthday gift from your parents. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was pink. A special charm, which was a musical note. The screen lit up as you gave the little device a swipe with one finger. You were informed by the caller ID that it was Lee. You weren't surprised. Ooh, how is she gonna look? Despite having busier and busier life and not living in the same town, you still had a good relationship with your cousin of the same age. Especially once the miracle of both of you having your own phones actually happened. She got hers first though. Tapping the accept button, you answered the call. A familiar, bubbly voice came right through. Oh, look at her. Hi, Destiny. Hiya. I trust I'm not interrupting anything major. Only some cleaning around the house. Oh, then you're welcome for my call. A distraction from that must be desperately needed. Hey, of course, who wouldn't? She giggled, and you could hear the jingling of the jewelry she must be wearing. Nothing amazing is happening for me either. I'm bored. Felt like chatting. My morning shift ended, so I'm free for the rest of the day. Woo! That's good. You're off on your part-time. Like you, Lee has started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It managed to keep in touch frequently, even more complicated, but you both had managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal. Cool. That's you, then. So how Mr. Cole Holden doing? There was a friendly sense of genuine curiosity to her tone. She always thought well of him, but the name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next-door neighbor for the past decade at this point. In some ways, it felt like unbelievable long time to have known a person, but on the other hand, it felt like nothing. It probably couldn't be helped, but being close in terms of housing didn't mean the two of you spent tons of real time together, especially nowadays. Been partying with the boy away? Or is he back? No, Lee, he isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday or the last time you asked, or the time before that. Oh, my bad. Can you blame me? Doesn't it seem like he should have made his grand return already? Plus, I want to visit soon, and he needs to be there too. I'd say, like, if you don't go with him, she might. You could understand where she was coming from. That was certainly outside the norm. For the past couple of months, the last few weeks especially, Caleb has been going to his mom's place in Nevada. Your mind began to drift back in time through all the prize trips that he'd taken to visit her. Almost every year he'd simply be gone for a while, then he'd be back. It wasn't something you minded or noticed much usually. That's how it was in the past, but lately he'd been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state became too impractical to do. His part-time work becomes a full-time soon, and he could be moving somewhere else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear what his plans were after graduation. That wasn't something the two of you had a reason to chat about. Maybe we should switch up on this non-Cove related topic. Sounds like a plan. The rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer though. Lee had to go and you needed to finish your responsibilities around the house. The both of you exchanged goodbyes and then went back to what you'd been working on before the call came. As you wrapped up your last chores, you were approached by Liz wearing a cheeky smile. I got Mom's key when I get out of this tiny town to do some shopping in a real city. That sounds great. Oh, we didn't get to choose. Good, I'm driving. Go get your wallet and anything. We're going now. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from the bedroom. You had money saved up from all the part-time work you have done, as well as from gifts you received. After making sure both of you were fully prepared in the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride. Right there, a light conversation about what shops to stop at, and the radio blasting. The trip was there breezed by, and what felt like no time had gone from cruising down the road to cruising the mall. Liz had her interest to check out, and you yours. With turning corners down a new length of the mall, your eyes caught on to a little gift store. Your friends and family had recently gave you many presents for graduation high school. Yeah, I appreciate what you had. It was thoughtful of them. Eventually the mall was explored in full, with every shop of note being checked. Rather than going home, you decided to walk over to do some smaller stores nearby. Liz had many thoughts on that topic. Honestly, malls are not a bastion of society. Even a smaller store requires extra distance. The brands are so much more. Then your sister abruptly stopped speaking and walking right in the middle of the path. It was a good thing no one was behind her. She seemed to entirely shut off for a moment. Liz? The attempt to catch her attention was unsuccessful. Something else had her all focused. Before you could puzzle out what might be happening, she began to mumble it out to the corner of her mouth. It's an axe. Destiny, don't draw attention, but look. What? With a harsh whisper and suddenly jerk, she urged you once more. Look. She followed the gaze the best you could to a large amount of colorful teens strolling the same path. Okay? You faced back to your sister with a confused expression and an unspoken question. What were you supposed to be saying? Destiny? Doesn't one of them seem familiar? Are we gonna see Shiloh? She was practically bouncing at this moment. You looked over to the group again, and this time you saw what she was signaling. Shiloh! Amongst the collected strangers was a brown-haired, gray-eyed, and lots of freckles. It's Shiloh! That's the Shiloh from when we were kids. Yep, that was definitely him. I can't believe it. He's honestly just there. That's hilarious. That's incredible. But how do we talk to him? We have to pull him away from all those people. And what if I'm wrong? You open your mouth to reply, but she cut off with her own answer to your question. I got it. I'll shout the name of Shiloh, and then we can act like it wasn't us. If he responds to that, we'll know without a doubt it's him. Destiny, keep an eye out, see if he looks. Can't you try talking to him normally? Likely without even hearing what you had to say, Liz put a plan in action. Shiloh! She shyly projected the word across the way, then put on her act casually, turning her head away from the scene while brushing at her skirt of her dress. It's a pretty awkward moment. You could only stand there as the attention of the area shifted to the two of you, thanks to your sister's shout. But many startled bystanders had become altered to your presence. Then one of them was a boy. From the distance, his large eyes met yours. He looked. A wide grin took over Liz's face. She pushed the rim of her sun hat and away from her face while swishing back around to greet her old friends directly. He's not gonna remember. He really ain't. He's gonna be like, ma'am? What are you doing? Shiloh! Waving as she stepped closer to express her intent to meet without really closing the gap. She wanted him to come here. Who presumed to be Shiloh looked surprised at the call out. He stole a quick glance at the crowd he was with, hesitantly glanced back at your way. He was trying to double check something. Liz remained steadfast with her gaze trained on him. Ultimately, he broke away from the rest of them. A light-footed jog across the brick path, a young man pleasantly presented himself in front of Liz and you. Hi! Hi! I like your hat! With that simple greeting, Liz had Liz giggling. Hello, I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm Lizzie and that's Destiny. We were all friends when we were little kids. His already wide eyes grew even larger. Their gaze darting between you and Liz. His previous chipper demeanor faded into something delicate. Oh no, he doesn't remember. I told you that was going to happen. I'm really sorry, but I think you have the wrong person. You could tell I'm not being instantly recognized, was going to make this exchange more of a challenge. Still, Liz was unteared. It was a long time ago. You were really young. I get why you feel like that. However, I'm positive I'm right. You're the same. That face, freckles, and generally you try to phrase things, you're even still wearing a hat. Instantly, he looked at his headwear with creased brows, not making the connection on why the hat meant something to her. Lads, we knew each other, okay? An easy smile settled on him as the silence followed Liz's speech. He was picking on his next words carefully. And then the quiet obliteration by new voices bursting into the conversation. Shiloh, what are you doing? The rest of the group already left. A field trip is not a vacation. We are on schedule. Startled, your head snapped towards a path. A distinctly unhappy individual with a piercing magenta eyes, dark brown skin, and a sharp jaw stormed your way. He carried a cloud of authority with him despite looking like he wasn't even 18. Sorry, I didn't mean to ditch. Shiloh, whose name was now officially confirmed, gestured with a hand to add the explanation of his absence as the stranger watched impatiently. They thought they recognized me as someone they knew, but it was a tiny misunderstanding. Liz theoretically as well, as literally putting her foot down at that, stomping in frustration. Getting more childish the longer she was around her childhood companion. We do know you. Now stop. You're gonna get the police called. Lizzie. Shiloh merely shrunk in on himself. The tone he spoke with was pained. Sorry. You honestly couldn't tell if he was apologizing for the upset feelings of your sister or the painful dissatisfaction of the new acquaintance that in itself wasn't very Shiloh-like because he grew up. Oh, you know him? Is that it? The stranger spoke in a dismissive, scoffing tone as words sounded so absurd to him. It was almost amusing. Almost, but the sternness of his demeanor quickly restated itself. Well, do you know me? I'll tell you. I'm someone who has been forced against his will to be aware of what's going on in Shiloh's ridiculous personal life for a year. And if the two of you had any importance to his general day existence, it would have come up by now. Don't bother to exaggerate any trivial connection you might have. It's not good enough. He's with us and you'll survive without him. Now stop loitering in the road. It's rude. Excuse me? We're the rude ones. The high-strung, ranting, got an audible gasp from Shiloh, who started speaking up in defense. Nate, that's really mean. Well, it's also true. We're leaving. With that declaration, the unofficial introduced Nate indignantly spun on his heel and walked speedily towards the group, went completely confident that Shiloh would follow behind him. Oh, people can sure have bad attitudes, huh? Why can't they just try to get along? It's not that hard. Don't worry though, I bet you won't have to deal with him. And I'm sorry I can't stay to talk to you, but I hope you really have a nice life. Bye! And that was it. His final parting words is given. Shiloh left the two of you behind to catch up on his own life that he had to go live. Hi, baby. Liz watched his exit, stunned, only to frown when it hit her that he was gone as quickly as he appeared. It happened so fast. If you hadn't even been able to get a word in. She sighed, all the energy she built up releasing with her breath. I could have told him his last name was Field and his birthday was October 30th. That would have proved it, but no. equally deflated. That could have been a nice moment, but instead it was disappointing. Do you want to go catch up with him? No, Destiny, don't! Merely shook her head, pushing off the childish thoughts. I think we can leave it there, thanks. He's in the middle of a high school field trip, and we've already enough been able to see him. And there's something reassuring about witnessing firsthand that he's still out there enjoying his own part of the world. Even if, though if given the chance, I could definitely have a few words with him about the company he's got. She laughed and you could tell there wasn't much humor to it. She was mad at that guy, even if she was happy to let Shiloh go. Maybe they're only with each other because of the field trip, and it's usually not things are. True, we can only hope for the same for him as he did for us. Have a nice life, Shiloh. Bye, Shiloh. Liz smiled, and it had self-confidence she knew so well from her. Come on, little baby sister. Let's finish our own trip. Yeah. No matter how either of you felt about your occurrence, it was something you had to accept. People just disappear and reappear in the most unexpected way. The two of you enjoyed what remained of your outing until it was time to return home. By the time you arrived back, the sun was already beginning to set. You arched your back to stretch your arms towards the ceiling. While it had been a good day, it had been enough activity to cover an entire week. Liz tried to hide a yawn behind her hand, but you weren't the only one feeling worn out. I'll be headed up to your room, the guest room, since mine stopped being available as soon as I was out the door. Her tone was light. She had a lot to say on the subject, but when you had first taken over her bigger room after she left for college, but there had been many trips back home for her ever since. The room hadn't been hers for years, so it's more of a running joke now that she continued to bring this topic to this day. Thank you, Liz. It's a nice room. Hey, don't actually sound appreciative. Now it's plain dirty. A small laugh was shared between you and your older sister. You better believe you'll be back in the guest room when you got your own place, and we're both in town for a visit. We can take turns. You'll have Thanksgiving, I get Christmas. What a reasonable and mature suggestion. I'll think about accepting it. She flashed a familiar grin, and you couldn't help but feel glad that she was back around, even if it was temporary. With that, she plodded off to the spare room. You were about to do the same. Moving into a new space was your first opportunity to decorate from scratch. Oh my God, Sob. Layout. Purple, yellow, green. Oh, that's pretty. Blue. I like that. Extra. Oh no, that's it. Windows. Right. Left. Okay. Walls. Wait. There. Floor. take the ball out. And done. You are really satisfied with the feel of your tiny part of the world. You drag your weary body into your bedroom. Your bed beckoned. After arriving, you lay down. You should have put the bed like by the window, and then put an additional like mattress, kind of like bendable, and then you could have slept right there by the window. That would have been great. After arriving, you lay down on it, staring at the ceiling as you mused over how to spend your evening, though. Back on the day's events. With a busy day behind you, it was nice to have some space purely to think. Oh, it's dark now. Time slipped and the evening turned into night. And it's like really bright. Your peace was broken by a buzz of the doorbell. Hopping up from the bed, it's cold! You casually went downstairs to see who was there. You reached from the front door unsure who expect this late in the day. Given how far out you live from others your age, it was unusual to have people stopping by unannounced. It's cold. Shockingly cold, holding me sure you on the other side. It was something happened many times in your life, but you hadn't realized he was back in the neighborhood. Oh, look at the glasses! Hi, what? I got Destin graduation mixed up. Destination. Hi, Destiny. Happy graduation. His appearance and his message only surprised you further. You wonder how long he's been around for. Living so close by, it meant it was hard to miss when he was there. However, this was about the first time you had seen him this summer. Happy graduation to you. Thanks. Encouraged by your response, Cove smiled brightly at you. Mostly I was just checking in. Your moms wanted to know when I'd be home with it being a pretty long trip and everything. Could you tell them for me? Nope. Sorry they bother you about that. It seemed kind of weird that that they'd be fussed over the neighborhood signs were about that much. I don't mind. All right, I'll tell them. Thanks, I appreciate it. He raised a hand and waved. But I guess I'll see you around this summer. As you hadn't been expecting Cove. The news had been meaning to tell him that he slipped from your mind when he turned up unexpectedly. It all came back to you now. I meant to tell you earlier. I saw Shiloh today. Shiloh? Cove repeated that name with his expression blank. From when we were kids? Cove pondered for a moment, then snapped his finger. Oh, was he that freckly boy from that first summer, right? The one who moved? I met a guy named Shiloh. He just looked like Shiloh. We knew a place how many years. But he didn't remember me and just laughed. Cove frowned. That's, I don't know, too bad I missed it. Though you knew him better than I did. That was definitely true. Not only Cove had known Shiloh for a shorter period of time, but he and Shiloh never quite gotten along. Not that they were enemies either. It's just kids that were only ever together because of other people they both knew. I wonder what Shiloh's up these days. I don't have any ideas. He didn't say much. Oh well. That everything was you had on that news item, so you moved on to the next big update. Also, you know that mean old neighbors, the one who always yell at us. He cringed, recalling those particular memories back in the days was not pleasant even for someone as nostalgic as him. Yeah, they're not coming. They didn't rent the condo this summer. Cove jaw dropped. You didn't blame him. The elderly couple had been institution for as far back as you can remember, long predating Cove's arrival. Even though as a teenager you found your neck prickling as soon as you walked by their condo, half expecting a scolding for a breath the wrong way in dynasty of their vacation home. It was strange to think that was coming to an end. Wow. Cove blinked, clearly struggling with the idea in the same way you had. I didn't see that coming. People being gone, people coming back. It feels like I missed a lot. This has been a busy summer already. You haven't missed the fireflies. They haven't showed up yet. Thanks for keeping me in the loop. But I'm gonna get going now. See you. You just caught him turning to head home as you closed the door behind him. Neighborly duty suspense. You could now get back to your evening. It was just dark earlier. Now the sun is up for some. It seemed like no sooner that the night had become, it was already at the end. The dawn of a new day was soon upon you. Oh wait, no more. The next morning, your belly was full of breakfast and you were in a pleasant mood. You hoped the rest of the day follow suit. Initially, you didn't have any plans for the day, but your friends roped you into meeting up to go to town later. Then Cove was finally back home. Miranda and Terry couldn't wait to calm down the neighborhood. Having a nice daydream, you blinked, pushing all your thoughts away, returning to reality. Your mom was watching you with a teasing smile. So what's on the agenda today? Meeting up with some people. Well, I hope you and your friends have fun. Don't get into much trouble. She winked at you. You both knew your moms wanted you to enjoy every bit of the summer before all the big changes happen. I'll try. But before you go gallivanting around town, could you bring the mail in? I'm finishing putting up the dishes away over here. All right. Thanks very much. Ah, Mr. Holden! He doesn't have gray hair yet. Darn it. As soon as you were outside of your front door, you couldn't help but see Governor Dad standing around in the road. They noticed you too. Hey there, Destiny. Is it Jean? Oh, hi, it's good timing. You should come join us. Hi, Cove. Hi, Mr. Holden. So what are you up to today? As far as I know, nothing much. Me and Cove are meeting some friends in town later. Sounds like a plan to me. Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched out his arm over his head. My boy and I had been waiting around to see what the new neighbors are like. It was definitely his idea. I don't know how you're not interested in this. It's big news. Yeah, you could, because you don't know if they're going to be friendly and awesome or just be a real menace. Besides, it's only to the new name. You folks in town, I think it's gonna be Jeremy. A shrug. You weren't concerned either way about it. If I run into them, okay, if I don't, I won't think of much. Fair enough. Especially with everything happening for you in the summer. And the topic, what came after this? You turned to Mr. Holden momentarily and looked at Cove. He nodded understandingly. Mr. Holden took one more glance currently vacant building and sighed dramatically. When he turned his back to you and Cove, his whole body seemed deflated. There's no sign of him. I still need to go to work soon. Cove gave his dad a reassuring pat on the back. Okay, I promise to keep an eye out. Then I can text you if something happens. Really? Yeah, of course. I mean, only until I have to meet up with Terry and Miranda. Would that still work? With a wide grin breaking out on his face, Mr. Holden looked absolutely thrilled to have his notices enabled. That works! He moved firmly to place both hands on Cove's shoulder, fixing his child with a firm stare. Then you are truly an ally in this world. Mr. Holden stood up straighter, letting Cove go. He looked regenerated. Okay, that's settled. I'm gonna make some money. That's always been one thing I do best. Mr. Holden headed off to the garage with a big wave goodbye. Cove smiled the whole time. Both of you had watched his dad leave. He always tried his best, and honestly, it was just great, even if you didn't see him that way before. As soon as he was out of sight, Cove sighed lightly. Are you okay? Yeah, just not looking forward to waiting. Guessing I'll be hanging around the street for a while. Good luck. Despite the slightly teasing of your tone, your voice, you meant it, knowing Cove would rather be doing anything else than this, but you figure out the wait wouldn't be too much longer. Yeah, see ya. You walked off towards your house, double-checking everything you retrieved from the mail, and went inside. Your mom met you shortly after you closed the front door. Thank you very much. You're welcome. She started shuffling through the envelope silently, and you took that as your moment to head upstairs to your room. Time quickly passed while you relaxed in peace and quiet. When you had looked at the clock, you noticed it was close to when you had mentally planned to head out. You got yourself together and left your home, waving at your parents along the way. Let me say, save! You were so surprised to see Cove still outside. He was sitting hunched over the front porch of his step, busy scrolling through some things on his phone. The neighbors haven't moved in. As you approached, Cove's gaze flicked up at you. His mouth moved into a half-hearted smile. Nothing happened yet. I really thought they would have moved in by now. They're going to move way later. Me too. Well, sorry you've been sitting around and waiting all this time. Nothing anyone can do about it. Thanks, so. It's gotta happen sometime. Yeah. The neighborhood was quiet and you started constantly closing your eyes and feeling the light breeze. Eventually, you both perked up at the sound of the car. A taxi followed the noise, turning onto your street. Cove's eyebrows raised at that sight. He sat up straight on the stoop. That has to be them, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. Now that they were here, you couldn't help but feel curious. You wondered what kind of person would be living in that neighborhood for the summer. Taxi pulled to a stop. As you expected, the front of the now empty condo was up. It was up on the same side of the street as you, a few buildings further up. Without getting to his feet, Cove tried leaning and tilting his head to get a view of the passenger's side door. As it opened, a single occupant exited the cab. Huh? You could feel what Cove was in that moment after the last renter. This new visitor was definitely not what you had expected. Either Jeremy or Kyra be like, I'm here for this summer. Oh, never mind. It was a young man that had to be close to your age. He was dressed fully in an electric black and white and gray outfit. Even his side swooping hair matched the scheme. The only pop of the color was something that could be easily fashionable into submission. A pair of dark brown eyes in which you caught when he looked over at his audience. Hello, folks. Who might you be? We're the neighbors. The smile already prominent on his face crawled up further. It was cocky, but you didn't get the impression that it meant something adverse. Hallelujah! You and Cove shared a familiar look to one another, bewildered even further. The color-coordinated man left it there, however, with a firm click shut of the door of his right, and he turned his back to you to retrieve a large, unsurprisingly black suitcase out of the trunk. Continuing with his own business, he strode forward and lightly tapped the driver's side window with his knuckle, asking them to roll it down. When it opened, he leaned down, rested his arm on the edge. You were assuming he was thanking the driver for getting them there, considering he slipped them a tip under the brief chat. They shook hands and he pushed himself up and away from the taxi with both arms, giving the driver room to leave. The taxi pulled away, rolling carefully down the road and out of sight around the corner. Their new renter had officially arrived. He left his suitcase on the ground, out of his way of the street, and sauntered over your way with the confidence of someone who had been invited to join. Cole finally stood up to greet this person. You followed the suit. I'm Baxter Ward. That sounds really familiar. I think that was the name of one kid in the other game we were playing. It's excellent to meet you. I think this must be the same person. But he's grown up. You were standing on the side he was approaching from when Baxter got close enough. He offered his hand to you first. You shook it. Baxter gripped your hand firmly, giving you a satisfying shake. Hi, Baxter. Hi, Baxter. I'm Destiny. Hey, Destiny. I am quite keen on getting to know you better this summer. We could be best friends. Oh, he's a black boy. He's not including Cole. And you are? He lifted his hand to Cove next. Cove shook his hand, still eyeing Baxter carefully. I'm Cove. Baxter's whole demeanor lit up for unknown reason. His eyes shone as he studied Cove for a moment. Now wait, is that a nickname or your real name? It's just my name. Cove spoke mildly, having given the explanation many times in the past, but clearly charmed Baxter all the same. He tossed his head to the one side and laughed. Your parents knew exactly what they were doing. I can't imagine more of a fitting name for the face I'm seeing, Cole. That's gorgeous. It's really not. You didn't know what to say. After a noticeable pause, Baxter caught on that he made both of you uncomfortable. I'm sorry, that wasn't intended to be mean more than it did. I like your name, but you don't have to mind that. I'm patiently against stepping on anyone's toes. He chuckled to himself, and it seemed like there was some extra meaning hitting up in their words. He's gonna be a pain. And you noticed that Cove raised an eyebrow, picking up on that. Baxter didn't even open his eyes to see your face to know that he had some filling to do. He stood up straighter, striking a slight pose with the position of his feet. I'm a ballroom dancer, hence the phrasing. Oh, I don't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool. It's not that hard once you get the basics down. Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking. Well, he grinned. That was rapidly becoming familiar to you. If either of you are ever looking for a partner, I'm available. Cove frowned at the overt foreignness. Thanks. I'll pass, I think. You didn't know how to answer that. Baxter nodded understandably and let the subject go. After that, there was a lull in the conversation, and Cove attempted to fill it. What made you decide Sunset Bird? Oh, yes. Well, my parents rented a condo, so I had a place to stay while I am off for a semester from college and not living in the dorms. There was a playful glint in Baxter's eyes as he continued. Ideally, they wanted me to send somewhere that wasn't too exciting, but lucky for me, they picked the wrong street, considering the two of you live here. Cove was practically reeling over how Baxter found a way to fit comments like that into every topic thus far. Why do you keep doing that? You don't know us, but you talk like you already do. Cove spoke firm but gently confused, and Baxter smiled cautiously. I don't feel the need to keep words or phrase to myself, and when I say something, I mean it. Plus, what's the point of spending my off semester alone? The best part of being somewhere new is getting to interact with new people. And honestly, the first person who has acknowledged you're attractive and intruding people, truly you're hidden away in a tiny tourist trap, but still. Baxter crossed his arm after studying your faces. A few seconds more, that he decided to continue. Am I only trying to score a hookup or get a romantic flame started by saying those things? No, that isn't the point of speaking as well of others. I was raised better than that, though I would be fussed at what my world led to. Also, no. I'm flexible and not a surprise. I can back off with the lines if you don't like the attention, but I would like to be friends if we can. Cove wasn't sure how to respond. He glanced at you and continued to look at your face when he spoke. Thanks for the answering. Don't think I'm interested in that. Maybe not the friend thing, but the other part. But doesn't bother me. Glad we're working things out. Shifting his weight onto his other foot, Baxter tried to move forward. So since you were both already out here, did my arrival interrupt anything? Definitely not. If Cove wasn't going to say anything, neither were you. Baxter didn't need to know how much of the day was spending waiting to see who was moving in. Baxter watched both of you carefully for a hint of what's going on, but decided not to pry anything further. Well, if either of you are free, I'll be thrilled to hang out this summer, but we can save that schedule for last. I should get my things inside. You give a small nod and a nod of the head and flash you a both dazzling smile. Baxter, it's bye. Goodbye for the day. For today, bye. Cub gave a small wave as well. Bye, Baxter, see you. Baxter then turned on his heel and strolled back to his suitcase, picking it up and bringing it to his condo. You and Cove were silent as Baxter unlocked the door and disappeared inside the house. With him completely out of the scene, Cove let out a long breath. I don't know how I'm going to explain that guy to my dad. He burst into a fit of laughter, trying to imagine the conversation. At least the job is done. We saw the new neighbor, and now we can meet up with Terry and Miranda. Yeah, we should get going. You gave Baxter's condo one last glance over your shoulder. Baxter was different, but you liked him. Smiling, you hoped he would become good friends this summer. Turning your attention back to Cove, you pushed all thoughts of Baxter to side. You started making your way towards town. We're gonna call it there. Save. And then if you want to join my Discord, you'll be alerted when I'm live and get a minute exclusive like random pictures that I rarely post. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go join my Discord, and yeah, thank you guys, and talk to you later.